June 21st, and I'm going to do a little gardening video. Special thanks to the really nice person who commented on one of my videos saying that they liked my style of gardening and that I should do more videos. That was very much appreciated. I can always use the encouragement. Today I'm going to be doing a couple of things, if I can get to it. I'm going to be transitioning my lilac bed, is what I call it, with all my lilacs in it, to summer, and also my cottage bed, which is the one that I have by the little fence here, which means cutting down a lot of foxgloves and also planting out some annuals that will hopefully be continuing to bloom throughout the summer, and just generally cleaning things up, because I had a really beautiful spring and I should have taken more video of that. Maybe I have some photos from my husband, who is my garden chronicler, but that is... Oh, and then I'm going to be doing some planters. So I picked up these planters off of Facebook Marketplace. Actually, I didn't. I found them and my husband picked them up for me. I'd been sitting that morning thinking I really wanted some larger planters, more larger planters that were more urn-shaped, and then these ones popped up and he went and he grabbed them for me, which was great. I also have some stuff that's cuttings that I have ready to plant out. I have some sunflowers that I've started inside that I also want to plant out. But I think we'll walk around and take a look at what things are looking like, and then I will do some of that work together. So I need to be cutting down a lot of these foxgloves. You can see I've already done a bunch. I have some holes here that we'll be putting some annuals in. One big change this year is this trellis that I put on the fence in a bunch of places. We also took out the mock orange that was taking up basically this whole space right here. I do have some fill from removing all of the sod in the front beds on that project, so that's just solarizing there with some shade cloth on it. You can see I've already planted up some Clematis montana, an oak leaf hydrangea, and some thalictrum, and there is a climbing hydrangea back there. We had a really fun day at White Flower Farm. I got a bunch of these climbers with gift certificates that I've been getting from my family members for Christmas and birthdays at White Flower Farm. So I'm very excited about this clematis. It is very aggressive, which I love. We only planted this a couple weeks ago. This is the climbing hydrangea. It is huge. They were having a 25% off sale on their climbers that day, which was wonderful for me. So I need to take the tags off of that, but we picked these trellises up at Home Depot a couple weeks ago, and they're just screwed in. We are in a drought, so everything is a little bit beleaguered, I would say. It feels a little difficult to get things done in the garden right now, because every time I come out here I have to spend so much time watering just to keep up. But we have these rose campion blooming, and as we can see, the foxglove is going over. I am letting this lunaria here, this Cheglow lunaria, go to seed so I can have a whole bunch of that next year. I also got a new phone that has a better camera on it. So there's my husband on Super Zoom watering over there. This is Gabriel Oak blooming. Some special dahlias that I'm growing from seed this year. These are seeds from Paula's dahlias. You should look her up on Instagram. She has an amazing field of fully double dahlias, And these are seeds that I'd been trying to get for a couple years. I think I said this in my seed starting video, but I have, I would say, close to 20 that are planted out, and these have the biggest stems that I've ever had on any of my dahlias. I have some of my bishop's children behind, which are bigger obviously because they were started from tubers, not seeds this year. I'm not exactly sure which one this is, but everything is very tall this year because of the intense heat that we've had. You can see this looks pretty nice. There's another dahlia in there. So one thing I'm growing this year is Jewels of Opar, and it's so cute. My husband really likes it because it has a name from Edgar Rice Burroughs, I think that's how you say it, stories. A little Veronica in there, along with some penstemon that's fallen over. A datura that's coming on pretty well. I did find that some of them overwintered, mostly in the spots that were just kind of uninhabitable anyways for things to grow, so I was able to leave those. This year I'm also trying to grow cardoons. So I have a couple here. They're the ones with the spiky leaves in the center there. Some blooming heuchera that I grew from seed a couple of years ago. This is a project as well. This is the end of my garage bed. You can see that nothing really wants to grow grass-wise in the path here, so I think I'm going to extend the bed that way and then put some roses and some other things there. I have to take out some of these hollies that have proved to not be very hardy in my zone. Another big change this year is that we have this planter, which is a 8x3 trough that we're using for edibles this year. So you can see we've got radishes that are coming along. And I'm a little bit annoyed because this compost that I bought in was a very expensive compost, the most fancy compost you can get in our area. It's supposed to be the most nutritious, the most natural. Anyways, it has a lot of crabgrass seed in it. I am constantly pulling crabgrass out of all of the places that I put this compost. Although it's not that hard to pull out of this submarine. But I have a few different lettuces. I have them interplanted with some peppers that are from my winter sowing that haven't really taken off yet. I have some snap peas. I just direct seeded those in, and there are some places where it hasn't really taken. Sorry, I'm just pulling out this crabgrass as I see it. And then I have a little row of basil, chives, and some English thyme, and I have some tomatoes. I started these inside, and to be honest, as I said, I don't really like the smell of the tomato plant. I don't really like raw tomatoes. But I think my husband will enjoy these, and I think at this point they are quite cute plants as well. Put some French marigolds around that I also started from seed inside. These are some little bush beans, and you can see we have been cutting the lettuce. But here is the cottage bed that I'm going to be redoing. I have been slowly transitioning this to perform during the summer and the fall. You can see I have some of my Paula's dahlias planted out here, and I have some Thunbergia that I started inside climbing up, some mahogany splendor hibiscus that I overwintered as cuttings on both sides. I did plant some Orlea in this bed. I started a little inside, and I also just direct seeded some, and that's starting to bloom now. I think I was a little late starting that. Next year I'll start it a little bit earlier. I had all of these violas, which were from one pot that a coworker of Steven's gave him, and they've been really nice along the edge of here, but they are quickly going over in this heat. So I think I'm going to pull those out today and replace them with some calendula that I've been growing. I know it's not much, but I think this is my most successful sweet pea year. You can see that it is about halfway up the trellis. What is a little disappointing is that the flowers are so far just white, and I had planted a highly scented reds, blues, bicolors mix from Renee's, and I think it might just be the heat or the lack of water that has done that. I have a little bit of Cerinthe growing here. I had a really old packet of this, which I just threw in my winter sowing jugs, and that's how I ended up with a small amount of germination. 2 plants. I do think that they're really nice. They have enjoyed the heat. They don't end up with floppy leaves like some of the other plants do in the heat. This was looking really nice in the spring. I had some sweet woodruff over there, which I know is a little bit controversial, but it's just right next to my trash cans, and not a lot grows there because it's also competing with this lilac that's really large that we've cut back to put up this fence. So I also have some marigolds that have seeded themselves in this bed, so I think I'm going to be bringing those to the front, cutting down the violas, maybe just transferring those somewhere in one of the back beds so that if they want to bloom in the fall they can. And also giving everything a really good drink. I also have some jewels of opar here. I think I have some more that need to be planted out. One really fun thing that I did because I was starting things inside is mass plant the cherry bullseye geranium and bacopa so that I could have a lot of pots of it, and it is starting to bloom. This is actually the first time I've seen it coming out here. It's really pretty. I think next year I'm going to do the traditional red, but these are beautiful plants. I couldn't believe how well that these started from seed inside. They were very fun to watch at all stages. 100% going to grow those again. It looks like I need to cut back the bacopa so it keeps blooming. Yeah, so I thought maybe we would put some little American flags in these pots. I got this pretty plant support at White Flower Farm as well. And you can see I have another Paulus dahlia in the pot in front of it. I have one of my dahlias there, which I think I didn't pinch early enough, and now I'm just wanting to see what it looks like before I cut it down to about there. I have a purple ballerina datura there that was also in the winter sowing, and a couple more dahlias. Oh, and look at, this is what the squirrel is always doing to my plants. It looks like he got that snapdragon. The plant nursery continues. I'm not as far ahead on my own garden stuff because I have been selling more plants this year, which is great because I paid for all the trellises. But some of these heuchera that I have in pots are ones that I grew from seed last year, and I popped those in the spring. Those are going to go in the front. If you haven't tried growing heuchera from seed, I would highly recommend it. It's really easy to collect the seeds in organza bags and then just dump them into a winter sowing jug. Look how beautiful these are. These are some of my annuals getting ready to put into the beds. I picked up this rose at White Flower Farm as well. It's very pretty, but it's been quite root bound and I really need to get it into the ground. These are some Cracker Jack marigolds that I propagated. And I just planted up a couple of my oak leaf hydrangeas into 3-gallon pots. Can you believe it? Those are what those tiny little plants were the other year. Here's what this year's oak leaf hydrangeas look like. Unfortunately, I put them under a drip edge of the house and some of them got obliterated, so you can see that they're ready to be potted up. I just haven't had time yet to actually get them potted up. What I'm bummed about though is I had a whole jug of mountain laurels here. This is just a weed though. And unfortunately they were allowed to dry out, and I think that I only have a couple left in here. Although if you zoom in, can you see them there in the center? They kind of have dark colored leaves right now. I don't know, I'm figuring out what is going on with them. There's still some in there. Definitely too small to pot up, but I don't think that they're very happy in this situation. Winter sowing went really well this year. Here's a little look. I've already potted up or planted out a lot of the plants that I had. A couple really fun ones. The monk's hood. I did not think that those seeds were viable, but they were. Bleeding heart heliopsis, Bowman's root, purple bellvine. We're gonna try to do those in some pots today. Chelone, and Geumcoit. Look how beautiful these little plants are. Another favorite are these tiny little, you have to see the scale of this. They're very small, little cinquefoil, scarlet cinquefoil. And aren't those pretty? I'm not sure where I'm going to put them, but they are very gorgeous. Some more Nicotiana to pot up. I have some more over here. But anyways, all of this needs water pretty badly. Here are some more of the oak leaf hydrangeas that have not yet been potted up for this year. They are pretty big. Well, this one's putting on some color. I think that they are very root bound and they also need fertilizing. But here are the pots that we're gonna do. Here's the driveway strip at this point in the year. I did put a clump of my Bishop's Children dahlias there. They have been struggling with the heat and lack of moisture, but doing okay. I had two really nice sunflowers going right here, but I think someone stepped on that one and it's gone. We got a delivery of 5 yards of dirt that we've been slowly using. And got some sunflowers, some Asian garden celosia, and then a bunch of marigolds there, and that's what I took the cuttings off of. So, a lot of things to do. If it was all done right now, then there would be nothing fun to do in the garden. I think I'm going to take these 2 dahlia clumps that I threw in this bed and use them in the planters. And I know this looks like a mess here, but there are a bunch of Nicotiana, a lot of Datura here, so this should fill in. I'm always trying to figure out what to do with this bed. It is on directly like the north side of my house, which doesn't really allow for a lot of sun. And my husband does not like using the weed whacker, so I've got a lot of weeds close to the edgers. But this is just what an unprofitable part of the lawn was before. So by the time August and September go around, this is full of flowers. It's just a difficult place to grow stuff. Before I start, this is one part of the garden that I've really been enjoying. I have some poor man's orchid that's going over. Probably pull those out today and replace that with something else in the pot. We already have some Empress of India nasturtiums in there. But this is so cute. I've been growing these strawberries in this pot, and I think there's a fair amount of them. Let's see. There were a bunch here. I don't know if my husband's eaten them or something else has. Oh, but look at them. They're really cute. They were so beautiful earlier this year because they have white, red, and pink flowers. And let's see how this one tastes. Does anyone know why strawberries would look like this? Some of them are well formed. These ones have to mature a little bit. I feel like they go from well-formed to kind of like over pretty fast. They haven't been watered. Oh, look at this poor one. They haven't been watered quite as much as I'd like, but there's a really nice strawberry tower that we made earlier this year. You can see a view of the garden. I have a ton of self-sown calamintha here, along with a couple of weeds that need to come out. But I'm gonna see what color a bunch of this is. This is a nice view of the Veronica planted around the base of the rose. There's some bees. Fortunately, not as many roses left blooming right now, but we had a pretty nice show of them. And this is the best my lavender has ever bloomed. And I think it's because it's been so hot and dry. So that's kind of fun. Some cosmos I put out. Oh, they're really starting to branch now. This Heliopsis I cut back, actually my husband cut it back for me one day by half because, like most Heliopsis, it was covered in the new growth with red aphids one day. So it works out with this bleeding heart Heliopsis because it has a tendency to flop. And so we just cut it back by half and it's looking a lot better. I'm thinking I might need to do this with my baby Joe Pyeweed here. And I have some regular Joe Pyeweed back there. I probably need to cut back by half as well. But the cabin's doing great in the heat and the lack of rain as well. And so I have some mahogany splendor hibiscus, a couple dahlias. I don't think I'll use those, but I'm going to put that out. And then my cuttings of the crackerjack marigolds that I'm going to put in the lilac bed to fill some of the holes. I also have this purple cleome, which looks like it needs to be pinched because it's trying to bloom, and some jasmine nicotiana. So that's what we're going to be putting in this bed. This is just like, this dirt is completely desiccated. These are hibiscus that I rooted. I just put them in dirt and I put them in the propagation tub. I don't know, when did we send that stuff to my mom? Like 3 weeks ago? Yeah. About 3 weeks ago. They're really nicely rooted in there. We're going to see how well these are rooted in. I see a lot of roots at the bottom, but we'll see if they... Oh, look at that! Okay, well they're just falling apart, but that's okay. We're just going to take these and pop them around. I can get them apart. Probably should have done this on a tarp. But you can see the marigolds root very well. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course marigolds are kind of plants that maybe people don't like very much, but I felt like this was a good pick for our conditions that are very dry in the last couple of years, to have some nice things blooming in the fall. Plus I really like them. The only thing is that I need to just pony up and buy the cocoa gold or cocoa orange that they sell it from Johnny's, so I can have like that deep orange color that I'm looking for, because these ones are a mix of probably mostly yellow, gold, and a little bit of orange. So, but we're gonna plant these around. I'm gonna pinch off any blooms that are on them.
You're being accosted by the foxgloves?
Yeah. This one's got a lot of side shoots. I'm gonna take it all the way down. This is very dramatic. I'm gonna take this one all the way down because you can see how it was really taking a lot of space in the garden bed. So, bye. We should grab a couple more dahlias. What do you think of purple datura right in the center here? Because these get eaten when they're little, unlike the other ones. We're on a slight side quest because my husband has said he will actually weed whack if we pick all of the things out of the lawn that we want to keep. So, for example, well, most of it is weeds, but there's a really nice viola right here, or pansy. So I'm just gonna pull that and keep that. And I'm probably not gonna keep all of the feverfew, but this is ageratum. Not the grass, obviously. So we're gonna go through and find as many little plants as we can. Here's a nice big ageratum as well. And this one. And this one's actually in the bed, but we'll just relocate it. Okay, it's getting dark, but we have planted a fair amount of stuff in here. And I also cut back a bunch of things, the foxglove, some of the golden jubilee agastache. And so if you can see in there, we've got some datura, we have some dahlias, we have some mahogany splendor hibiscus, one that I unfortunately stepped on, and a lot of marigolds. So I'm gonna leave these crazy foxgloves for a couple days because the bees were enjoying them. It is getting to be evening now, but I think I'm gonna do these planters, and they're gonna need to be moved, but I think that will fill them up and plant them out anyways because they're just annuals. I've been going back and forth on whether I wanted to try to mix peat moss with this compost before filling them, but I think I'm just gonna be lazy and fill them with it without mixing because it takes so long to hydrate the peat moss. It is supposed to be cow manure and leaf mold, so I think that should be okay. I have potted up some of my stuff with the same, and it seems to be okay.
Little cat.
Okay, I put those dahlias in there. I think we'll still be able to move the urns once this is all potted up. Let's see what we have to put in it. I have this Cybella. I'm gonna put that in. I have a little bit more of the white bacopa. I'm gonna put that in as well. And then I'm gonna grab some of the purple bellvine from the winter sowing jugs and put that in. I also have some container salvia there. That's the white bacopa and some cosmos. Since we cut down the mock orange the other week, I'm going to try to use those to make a climbing thing for the purple bellvine. So we'll see how well that works, because we didn't put it in water, so I'm not sure how flexible it is anymore. All the best ones. I don't know if you can see how pretty this Cybella is, but I'm going to make a cage over them with the mock orange branches and then plant some purple bellvine to climb over them. think that's pretty nice. Do some video in the daylight, but that's pretty good for now. Here are the planters that I made up the other night. You can see the dahlias are a little bit shocked being in the sun. I may cut these back just because they seem to be struggling to support the amount of foliage that they have after being transplanted. Also, this looks like a mess because when I planted this up, I did cut down all of the really beautiful calendula and brought them as cuttings inside because my parents are coming to visit in, I don't know, like 3 weeks or so, and I want this all to be blooming then, so we're sacrificing a little bit of blooms right now. A lot of things are very small in order to have blooms later. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope your gardens are growing well. I hope that you're getting some rain. I hope that we get some rain. Put in a comment what's blooming for you in the summertime. Until next time.